Oregon at Purdue could have an obvious outcome, unless it doesn't. It could be a classic duck trap game. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com and get started. On today's podcast, we'll talk about the Ducks and whether this is a letdown trap game, maybe. Plus, we'll talk about every team, every game in the Big Ten. Week 8 is upon us this weekend. And stick around for our Pigskin Picks. May have a surprise for you, all right? In the meantime, Oregon is the most talked about team in the Big Ten right now, deservedly so, with their big win over Ohio State last weekend and their number 2 national ranking. Now it's back to the national stage as they have a short week and a long road trip to play at West Lafayette and take on a struggling Purdue Boilermaker team under the lights tonight, Friday night, showdown, 8 o'clock Eastern on Fox, 5 o'clock on the West Coast if you're a Ducks fan. On paper, this should be a Ducks blowout, right? The Ducks are good. Purdue is not. It's pretty much that simple. Vegas has Oregon at a 28.5-point favorite. So hang on to the end of the podcast for our Pigskin Picks. I may have an interesting twist on this game. But the Ducks, they better be ready for Purdue. But before you laugh, they got to be ready for this game. You got to be ready for every game. Strange things happen after dark at Ross-Ade Stadium in West Lafayette. They do. People around those parts still talk about the night in 2018 when Urban Meyer brought his Buckeyes to town. Ohio State was the number 2 team in the country, just like the Oregon Ducks are right now, and the Boilers stunned Ohio State. Blew them out 49-20. Now, granted, the 2018 Boilers are a lot better, were a lot better than the 2024 Boilers are. There's no question about that. Boiler quarterback David Blau outplayed Ohio State Heisman candidate quarterback Dwayne Haskins on that night. Tonight, the Ducks will be with their own Heisman candidate in Dylan Gabriel. The question is, who will play quarterback for the Purdue Boilermakers? Well, the answer to that question is Ryan Brown. You may not have heard of him if you're not a Purdue fan. Heck, half the Purdue people haven't heard about him if they didn't watch last week's game. He will make his second career start tonight in this game. The Ducks will have very little film on him to prepare. Again, on a short week to get ready for this game. And what little film they have on him should scare them. Hudson Card had been the starting quarterback the past year and a half for Purdue after transferring from Texas. Remember, he was playing behind Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. He was never going to see the field. So he bolted to West Lafayette, came in when Ryan Walters was the head coach. It was like his first big transfer portal guy. But his tenure at Purdue has been disappointing. And then he got a concussion. So Ryan Brown, who, again, just stepped into the lineup. A lot of people hadn't heard of him last week. And he took a ranked Illinois team all the way to the wire. In fact, Illinois needed overtime to beat Purdue in a shootout 50-49. Who is this Ryan Brown guy? It was the first time since the Boilers' season opening 49-0 win over overmatched Indiana State that the Boilers actually showed a little bit of life on offense. I mean, it has been a struggle this year. 2 weeks ago, after just scoring 3 points versus Nebraska, Ryan Walters fired his offensive coordinator, Graham Harrell. Guy makes $1 million a year. Had to fire and was under contract for next year too. Had to let him go. Had to shake some things up. So Brown comes into this game last week, and his stat line against Illinois was nothing short of spectacular. Threw for 297 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's great on its own. He ran for another 118 yards. Now, some quick math. I'm not really good at that, but that's 415 total yards of offense from one player. I had to admit, when I looked at the box score, I had to do a double take. I thought it was a typo. Ryan Walters has no choice to start this kid, no matter what the health status of Hudson Card is, and that's how it's going to go on this Friday night game. So you're going to see Ryan Brown out there, and we'll see how he does with this big game here today. Pretty interested to see how he plays against the Ducks. Meanwhile, in addition to beating Ohio State and displaying a number 2 ranking nationally, the Ducks come into this game with a 7-game winning streak and just 1 loss in their last 14 games dating back to last year. The Ducks offense is top 30 points in 5 straight games. They're on a roll. They're coming into West Lafayette on a roll. There's no question about it. We'll see if they keep it rolling, or if maybe they'll get it going, but maybe they'll come out a little bit flat. Again, a short week, a 2,200-mile trip one way from Eugene to West Lafayette. And, they'll take on the Boilermakers here, and we'll see if they come out a little bit flat or maybe they get rolling. Going to be really interested to see that. And that may have a effect on the point total and all that. So you keep track of that sort of thing. And they don't want to take a peek ahead. Again, this is another reason this could be a letdown game. Short week, Friday night, long trip, team that's not very good, coming off a big win. These are all trappings. These are all trap game signs for Oregon, and they may look ahead. They're taking on ranked Illinois next week. Then a week after that, traveling to Michigan the following week. So they got to come in focused for this game. It's got all the markings of a look-ahead trap game for the Ducks here against Purdue. One more note on the Ducks. I don't know if this will make Buckeyes fans feel any better or not, but a note from last week's game. The NCAA is immediately changing the rules loophole that Dan Lanning and the Ducks took advantage of Saturday night at the end of that Ohio State game. With 10 seconds remaining, the Buckeyes are trying to get themselves into field goal range, just about there. And it would have been a last-second game-winning kick. Lanning sent the 12th player onto the field for an intentional penalty. Ohio State received the 5 yards. No big deal there. But because the penalty was during a live ball, the 4 seconds that expired before the penalty was called, they didn't put it back on the clock. So instead of having 10 seconds to go, Ohio State had 6 seconds to go. And that may have added to some of the confusion on the final play where quarterback Will Howard ran out the clock and the game ended with a timeout in his pocket. And Ohio State never got a chance to kick a potential game-winning kick. Anyway, the NCAA said right now, they're not waiting until next year or anything. That rule is now changed. The NCAA says from now on, the team in the Buckeyes position in that scenario can have that time added back onto the clock. Again, I don't know if that makes Buckeyes fans feel any better about it after the fact, but obviously it's a direct effect from that exact game. And a programming note for you here. We're going to take a look at the Michigan-Illinois game in a moment. We're going to preview all the teams and all the games. This is what we do on Fridays here. But don't forget, we're going to go live after that Michigan-Illinois game here on Lockdown Big Ten on our YouTube channel. That if you're watching on video now, this is where we'll be. We do it every Saturday. Normally, we do it after the late NBC game. We're going to do it a little earlier because the Michigan-Illinois game is at 3:30 on CBS. We're going to follow that up. So we should be about 6:30 to 7-ish Eastern time, around 4 p.m. Pacific time. We'll go live. You'll get my immediate reaction to that game, all the other games prior to the day, preview for the ones coming up, and we take your comments as well live and get your immediate reaction while everybody's all passionate and fired up. That makes it for a pretty good show, a fun show that we do each and every week. So keep an eye out for that right here on Lockdown Big Ten. Also want to invite you to check out our website. It's called Talk Big Ten with the number 10, talkbig10.com, where all of our podcasts go. We file them chronologically and by team or school. And then we have links for your convenience. If you want to update your swag, your shirts, your hats, your school spirit from your particular school with your team logos on it, it's all right there next to our podcast on the website, talkbig10.com. All right, a couple of things. We, it's free. It doesn't require any other personal information. It's just free forever. Subscribe. And then if you don't mind also sharing and following and liking, that really helps us out too. But if nothing else, subscribe for free, and then you get you're right in on this podcast as soon as it's available each and every day, because we are here each and every day. So wanted to ask you to do that for us. That'd be a big help. And coming up, we are going to preview every team, every game in the Big Ten that we haven't talked about already. Week 8 is here. Plus, I will give you my pigskin pick predictions. All that coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. You know, guys, if you ever feel like you need a little boost in the old bedroom, it's time to stop worrying about your performance and get Hims, so you can feel confident whenever you're in the mood. Hims is changing men's health care to providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your own couch. You can order it up right there. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/locked-on. That's Hims, HIMS.com/locked-on for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/locked-on. The products mentioned are chewable compound products, which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Well, thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe. Thank you. Subscribe, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. Plus, don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. All right, let's handle some of these games. We're already talking about Oregon and Purdue Friday night. Let's go to Saturday. We'll do this in chronological order. Nebraska, 5-1 at Indiana. Number 16, Indiana, 6-0. That's a 12 noon Eastern time on Fox. Big noon Fox game on Fox. You look forward to all that. I'm going to be watching that. We previewed this game in detail yesterday on the podcast. So if you want to go back, you can check it out. If you're an Indiana fan or Nebraska fan, see what you missed, either here on YouTube or go to our website, talkbig10.com. It's all right there, or wherever you listen to the podcast. Just go to the one from the previous day. It's right there. If you like exciting quarterback duels, this game could be for you. Nebraska is led by 5-star freshman sensation Dylan Raiola. He's the real deal. Many like to compare him to Patrick Mahomes. That's a bit much for this time, but people are talking about it. And he's not quite at that level, but he will make you say, oh, every once in a while. He will, a few times each game. Meanwhile, the Hoosiers are led by Ohio transfer and fifth-year senior Kurtis Rourke, who was the 2022 MAC Player of the Year. Nationally, I think people are just now starting to notice his game. The Hoosiers have scored 40 or more points in 5 of their 6 games, and they've never trailed this season. Indiana and Army are the only 2 schools that have never trailed this year. Indiana also became the first bowl-eligible team in the country 2 weeks ago. Got it done early. By the way, the Huskers need one more win to become bowl-eligible. Husker fans, you know how important that is. It's been since 2016. If you win just one of any of your remaining games, you're going bowling. Wisconsin is at Northwestern. That's a 12 o'clock game on the Big Ten Network. If nothing else, this game should be spectacular in a visual manner. Just a gorgeous day. Northwestern's temporary makeshift on-campus stadium on the shores of Lake Michigan. It's going to be sunny and 70 and no humidity. It's going to be a gorgeous day for on-campus football. If you want to check, even the cutaways going to commercial, the Big Ten Network, just looking at Lake Michigan, are going to be spectacular outside of the game itself. Now, the Wildcats are starting to heat up. They just earned their first Big Ten win of the season last week, on the road, no less, at Maryland. They forced the Terps into 3 fourth-quarter turnovers on the way to a 37-10 win. The Badgers, they might be figuring things out as well. Since starting quarterback Tyler Van Dyke went down with a season-ending injury, Wisconsin has scored 115 points in its last 3 games with Braden Locke under center. So that's starting to work. All right. UCLA is at Rutgers, going all the way across the country. 12 o'clock Eastern FS1. That means body clock time for UCLA. This is a 9 a.m. game. Could be a tough game for UCLA. All games are tough for UCLA. They've struggled in every facet They're still looking for the first Big Ten win in their inaugural year in a conference. In fact, the Bruins have yet to reach 20 points in any game this season. Nothing's working. And they're not likely to reach the 20 points this week. Again, flying across the country, going to be tired, taking on a good and angry Rutgers defense. Angry because Wisconsin scored 42 points at Rutgers last week. That was a bit of a stunner. I was shocked by that. I'm sure Greg Schiano will get things tightened up here, or has gotten them tightened up this week. And I look for running back Kyle Monangai to have a field day against that Bruins defense. Meanwhile, Michigan ranked 24th, Illinois ranked 22nd, 3:30 CBS, 3:30 Eastern time. The winner of this game will stay in the top 25. The loser will be out of the top 25. If you like throwback games, this one's for you. First of all, to commemorate the 100-year anniversary of Red Grange's 6-touchdown game against Michigan, Illinois will be donning the hand-painted helmets. They're going to appear to look like 3D leather helmets. This is going to be cool. I can't wait to see this. 100 years ago, for you kids out there, the Galloping Ghost, that was Red Grange's nickname, he scored 4 touchdowns of at least 40 yards in the game's first 12 minutes. Went on to score 2 more touchdowns in Illinois' 39-14 win that day. Speaking of throwback, Michigan isn't exactly lighting up the passing game either, right? Jack Tuttle, Michigan's 3rd starting quarterback this season, will make his 2nd start of the season. And one more reminder, we will be going live on Locked On Big Ten here on our YouTube channel right after that game. Southern Cal, USC, they are also like UCLA, taking a trip all the way across the country, going to Maryland, 4 o'clock Eastern time on FS1. Again, just like UCLA, maybe they should get a connecting flight together through Charlotte and then go their own ways or something like that. The USC Trojans are going to try and fix some things at Maryland. They're in a bit of a slump. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games, lost them all late. Late game scores by Michigan, Minnesota, and Penn State were the differences in those games. USC has too much talent to be a 500 team. They really do. They need to learn how to close out these games at the end. The Terps are struggling. They've lost 2 in a row. Last week's home loss to Northwestern was very embarrassing. They had 3 turnovers in the 3rd quarter, or the 4th quarter. 4th quarter, 3 turnovers. Just kept handing the ball back over to Northwestern, and Northwestern was scoring. I know Mike Loxley's got to get that fixed up. And then the primetime game Saturday night, NBC Saturday night, Iowa at Michigan State. Now, it's the new Hawkeyes. In their 4 wins, they're averaging 37 points a game. It used to take them 4 games to score 37 points last year. And it is extremely inexplicable because they're putting up all these points without an effective passing game. Again, if Cade McNamara throws for over 100 yards, it's a big day. And they're still winning with lots of points. Running back Caleb Johnson might be the MVP of the entire college football season. Really. He's just having a banner year at running back. He's unstoppable. And a note that Kirk Ferentz goes for his 201st career win as the head coach of the Hawkeyes. He's 2nd all time behind Woody Hayes, who's just at 205. Again, I mentioned this last week. I'll mention it again, just to put this in perspective. He's within 5 wins of Woody Hayes. That's pretty good. Meanwhile, Michigan State, they used their bye week to recover from back-to-back games on the schedule against Oregon and Ohio State. That's tough. That's a tough stretch. And other than that, that's what Michigan State needs right now. So they just need time. I think they're slowly going in the right direction. So we'll see if they get there. All right, coming up, we've got our Pigskin Picks. That's next. Maybe a surprise or 2 for you. Hang on. We'll see if my picks match yours right here on Locked On Big Ten. Hey, NFL fans, you like to watch NFL games because it's exciting. It's even more exciting. You got a little something on it. FanDuel. Check out FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So you get a hunch in the middle of the game. You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and a whole lot more on the same page that you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com. By the way, this weekend, NFL, Chiefs. How is it the Chiefs are underdogs? Rematch of the Super Bowl, taking on the 49ers. I like the Chiefs in this one. Patrick Mahomes is like 10-3 outright as an underdog. And Andy Reid doesn't lose coming off of a bye week ever. Hardly ever. Jets at Steelers, that line has been weird since Devontae Adams showed. It's swung 4 points. That's weird. I like the Steelers are underdogs at home to the Jets. Is one wide receiver going to make a difference? Maybe Russell Wilson starting? Steelers plus 2.5. That's what I'm going to take on that one. You can do all that. Do whatever you want at FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, let's check this out. It's time for Pigskin Picks for the weekend. We'll get into it. Can't wait to see these games. I'm going to go full screen. If you're audio only, I'll describe what we got here on screen. First of all, we'll start off with the Friday night game here tonight. Oregon at Purdue. Purdue a 28.5-point underdog, over under at 61.5. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do here. Oregon's going to win the game. Don't be surprised if this is a sluggish first quarter for all the reasons I mentioned before. And Oregon typically does not cover this. They win. They don't cover. I think the same thing will happen. Maybe this is a 21-point game. They're going to win. But yeah, I don't think they're going to cover the 28.5. So I'll take Purdue in the points, but Oregon to win. And let's fly past the over on this one at 61.5. Over to Saturday's action. Nebraska at Indiana. Indiana, 6.5-point favorite here. The over-under at 50.5. First of all, let's take the over. Indiana scores 40 or more in all but one of their games. And I know Nebraska is a much better defense than they will have faced, but Nebraska will do some scoring too. So I like the over here, and I like Indiana to cover. Indiana wins by a touchdown, maybe 10. Although I think it's going to be a great game. First sellout in Bloomington in like forever. Wisconsin is at Northwestern. Both teams playing better. Wisconsin's a touchdown favorite. I like Wisconsin to win and cover the 7. And this game will probably eke over the 41.5. I think it will. I think it'll go over 41.5. UCLA at Rutgers. Rutgers is going to win this football game by at least a touchdown. Okay. The over-under at 40.5. UCLA won't score 20. Rutgers, that's probably going to be right at the number. I might shy away from even putting an over-under bet on that one. All right, but do take Rutgers to win. I feel very confident about that. Meanwhile, let's see here. We've got Michigan at Illinois. And let's see here. I'm trying to get something removed here. All right, so we got Michigan at Illinois. Illinois is a 3.5-point dog. Wow, I like Illinois in this one. I do. So 43.5 is about right. This is gonna be a low-scoring game. USC at Maryland. I was tempted to say that Maryland is a home dog here, but I think USC just has too much talent. And so I don't. I think Maryland is going to lose this game. I think USC is going to get the win, and we'll just take it at that. The over/under probably over 56.5. And finally, Iowa at Michigan State. Iowa's going to win this football game. 5.5 is the point spread here. Yeah, Iowa will win by a touchdown or 2. And look, you got to take the over 40.5. Iowa, if they win, they average 37 points in games they win. Michigan State will score something. Take the over on that one, 40.5. That is extremely low. So there you have it. Those are our pigskin picks for the weekend. Let me know what you think. Hit me up with your comments and enjoy the games. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. So in the meantime, we got the game tonight with Oregon and Purdue, and that'll set the stage for the rest of the weekend. We'll be going live after the Michigan-Illinois game, and look forward to having you join us over the weekend as well. That'll do it. Again, many ways to reach out to us. You can hit us up on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. And I'm going to put that back up here on the screen real quick. There you go. Right there. Talk Big Ten. And then comments on YouTube. And you guys like to go back and forth on that as well. Always appreciate that. And then go back on our website at talkbig10.com and check out all of our other podcasts. Get caught up on the week. We previewed a lot of games in depth as well. So all that is coming up, and we'll join you over the weekend. Thanks for checking us out. Enjoy your weekend. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.